Hey, everybody. It is Coach Kally V with Coordinated Coaching. And many of you that follow me know that right now I am running a local softball clinic here in Flagstaff or Northern Arizona. And tomorrow on June 21st, I'm going to be having Brittney Matta, former ASU catcher, currently now the head coach at South Mountain Community College down in Phoenix. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yep. I always get it mixed up. I'm like Tucson, Phoenix. It's all Phoenix to me. Sorry. So I'm super excited. She's going to come visit us tomorrow and get out of the heat. It's actually been really nice up here. So we've had great weather. So I think you might like it just a little bit. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a specialty positions clinic, and we're just going to be pouring into pitchers and catchers. We're looking for experienced pitchers and catchers because at the beginner level, it's going to go right over their head. That may be another day where we can work with beginners, but right now we're going to focus on these kids that have been doing it, I would say, for, what do you think, at least 2 years, like solid competitively?
Yeah, I would say that's a good start.
Yeah. So, Brittney, let's go ahead. I just want to hear from you. Give me a little background. I know I included a little bio in my registration forms on you, but sometimes it sticks when people actually see and they hear it from the actual coach.
Yeah, so I'm from Sacramento, California. My dad was a baseball coach. I grew up watching Dustin Pedroia play for the Boston Red Sox. He's from my high school, so I really just grew up in a baseball atmosphere. Started playing fast pitch and just fell in love with it. I played club and high school throughout my career, and then I decided to walk on at Arizona State. So after walking on at ASU, I played for Coach Myers for 2 years. Actually ended up hurting myself my junior year and became a grad assistant instead. So worked on my master's there and everything. Finished about 2012 was my last year. And in those 6 years, I won 2 national championships. So I think I was in the right place at the right time. Got really lucky to be a part of that. Met some of my best friends, just really fell in love with coaching and teaching, sharing my passion for the game with little kids. And I think with that, I got a little bit selfish. I get to the point where I go out to coach little kids, and I do get frustrated sometimes with beginning level because I just fell in love with coaching at such a high level. So I had the opportunity to become a head coach at Highland High School in Gilbert, and I did that for 4 years. Then I moved on to be an assistant coach at Mesa Community College, and then this year will be my first year as a head coach at South Mountain, and I just really can't wait to get to work with these young ladies. It's going to be awesome.
That to me hits close to my heart because I played 2 years of community college ball with the purpose of getting my numbers out there, upping my stats, and then with the hopes of going D1, D2, which I was going to go D2, but the whole blood clot thing happened and bleh. But I have mad love for community college programs because you should check out the school I played at, Seward County Community College. They're in the Jayhawk region. They're actually quite the contenders up there. So maybe you'll come across them someday. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe play them.
Yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. But so I did a little research on you, even though I've known you for a little bit. I went ahead and Googled you. And one of the things I noticed was it talked about you being a catcher in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Can you share with that how that was, yes, you were injured, but how did you prepare your mind just for that opportunity to own it? How did you realize that this is where you need to be at this place in time, or how did you not do that?
So I think my mind was pretty much set on ASU the start of my senior year, and I knew that I got offers from other places, but I also knew that it was a very competitive atmosphere. And you just have to realize that you have to be prepared mentally going in that you will not be the best person anymore. If you go in with that mindset and you're willing to work hard every day, you can become the best person. If you don't and you're closed-minded and you have that closed mindset where you want to be the best, but it's maybe not possible to grow, it will literally just eat up your entire life. You have to go in with the mindset that you're going to grow and you're going to learn from each of the people out there, because there really are a lot of other athletes that could be better than you, or that could bring something to the table that you might not have. And you can learn from those things. So I went in with the mindset that I probably wasn't going to play, and I was fine with that. But I was also a leader of the team at a really young age. So as a freshman in the bullpen, I was working with our starting pitchers all the time.
Nice.
That was my job. So I was getting them prepared for games. I was keeping them warmed up during games, and we just developed a rapport with each other that they wanted me there. And that was something that I took, as something really special, because even the starting pitchers weren't working with every pitcher every day. So that's something that I took as like, I'm going to own this, and, I'm going to get better every day. And I'm just going to go in mentally prepared that I probably won't get in as many games as everyone else, but I'm going to get in more reps than anyone else because I'm over there working all the time. So
that's a great outlook. I think a lot of players, like you said, when you said it'll literally eat you up, I was thinking it'll eat your lunch, kind of thing. That is a great mindset to have, because freshmen, when you go to college as a freshman, it doesn't matter how good you were in high school. You're basically back at the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, in the sports world. And for you to be given that opportunity, because your coach in that article, your coach actually responded very well about how you handled that. Like, the coach knew that you owned that opportunity, and that was one of the things he loved about you. And that, to me, as far as a collegiate level, you have to have a solid bullpen catcher, and they have to have it here too. They have to be okay with it, and you can't be doing it with the intention of, well, if I keep doing this long enough, my time's going to come, because it sounds like to me you knew, you accepted it, and that was your time. And you poured 100% in it. I'm not 110% kind of coach. I think logically, with math equations, it only goes to 100, like a pie graph. So I'm always if you give 100, that's it. That's your max. And as long as you did it, then you can walk away from that game knowing you gave 100. So
a funny little story. Casey Myers, he was Coach Myers' son. He worked real closely with the catchers, and I would just bust out there every chance I got where a catcher wasn't ready in between innings. I would run out there just ready to take on the field, because that's my shot, oh, I'm hitting and I'm out here on the field and this is great. So I would run out there quick and I would get ready. And there was one time when I didn't have any gear on, just my helmet. And I think it was maybe Katie Burkhardt or Megan Elliott, I can't remember. She threw a nasty drop ball, and it was right in the dirt. And I just dropped and blocked, and I freaking took one right off the chest. And I'm just like, you know what? I did it. And I came back in, and he's like, did you just block a ball with no gear on? And I said, yep. And he's like, that's awesome. So
that right there is hard.
It was just 100% all the time. If that was my one shot, I was going to do it in front of whoever was watching.
that to me, I'm also a coach that believes actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And that to me was a pretty loud action. So that's awesome. So I've had a lot of girls here. The girls that you're going to be working with that I know are going to be there, they're already currently playing travel ball teams. They're already currently building their plan to play college ball. One girl is actually playing on one team here, as well as another Firecrackers team down in Phoenix. And it's just pretty cool to listen to their stories. And it's just funny, when I mentioned you, their eyes just lit up. They don't know who you are, but it's kind of like the print. I'm like, oh, she used to coach at a high school. She was with ASU. Then she coached in her graduate year. And you should see her bling. You have to bring your bling tomorrow. You have to wear your rings. Because that way they know I'm not lying.
Yeah.
No. But, and then, although you weren't able to come through last Friday, it's okay. Things work out 100%. You getting the head coach position at South Mountain, that's huge. I am really hoping that tomorrow a lot of connections, a lot of bridges are built with you, with these athletes, but you never know. You very well may end up with some of these girls in some crazy way. I don't know, but I think that's pretty awesome. Like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'm totally excited to just be the little bitty bridge to connect you. So my little softball community up here, you know, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice to have you. But some of the parents have been asking, you know, what are the things that you're going to teach these girls, especially girls at experience level? Like, let's put your coaching hat on. Like, let's say your college coaching hat. What are the things you look for in a catcher, like an experienced catcher?
So for me, the things that I look for are not necessarily physical. They're more mental parts of the game. What I look for is an experienced leader, somebody that's always talking. If there's somebody out there on the field that's always chatting it up, always, you know, giving the pitcher feedback, that's really what I look for. And taking command of the field is so important. So if I were to go out and see somebody that maybe plays shortstop or center field and has a good arm and they're always talking, I could easily make them into a catcher. Easily.
I like that. That's a good note. I want to note this real fast. My sister played short or third, but mainly held down catching. And it's funny you say that because I grew up just always seeing those three positions widely connected.
Yeah, because you can really, if you're an athlete and you have your mental game, you know, in check, you can really play anywhere. You can teach yourself how to play anything rather quickly. So I think that's one thing that I really look for is just leadership and command of the entire field. And if you can do that, you can be a successful catcher. A couple other things, obviously, your arm and how they sit in their stance throughout the game is huge too, because I see a lot of girls at the college level still kind of, I don't know, it looks to me almost like as if they're weak when they stand up and then they walk a couple steps back to their pitcher and they throw it back. I want you down in your catching position as much as you can. If you can be down there and you're like immediately just gunning it back to the pitcher, right back in your stance, looking for that sign from your coach, and then boom, relay it to your pitcher, that means you're ready. You can talk from that position. And I totally understand sometimes you might want to go out there and take a couple steps out and give your team a sign or give, you know, relay some info. That's totally fine. But it's when you're doing it every single pitch, it just kind of seems like you're not really ready to be out there. I just want a kid that's looking for the next pitch and ready to go.
That's good. What do you think is a good pop back? What's your pop back time?
Anything under a 2 is good. I've seen a lot of great kids out there, a lot of good athletes that can, you know, consistently hit a 2. If you're hitting under a 2, you're great. You know, it's not something that's like, oh, 2 is an average. But if you have a good arm and you're willing to work on it, there's little things throughout the throwing progression that will all line up, and then you will get quicker. You don't necessarily always have to have the strongest arm, but if you're doing the things correctly throughout the throwing progression, it's possible to be hitting a 2 consistently.
Yeah, those little things. And that's something I've been preaching all summer is these little things that we do. T-work, it's mundane, it breaks your brain. You're just like, ugh, you know, pitchers, little flip drills. My pitchers hate them, but they're part of your diligent workout in order to make the bigger things better.
So, establishing a routine is huge.
Very. Because you almost feel like if you don't do that thing, you almost feel incomplete.
Yeah.
And you don't want to walk in the field feeling incomplete.
Right.
You know? So, all right. So let's talk about, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So you are gonna talk about placement on the bunt tomorrow, but I want to talk about what showed up in the College World Series with that bunt going foul. The umpire called a dead ball, and the catcher fired right back in the pitcher's face. What do you think, like outside looking in, what do you think happened there? As a catcher, what's your opinion?
As a catcher with a really strong mindset, I feel like the catcher did exactly what she needed to do. You're supposed to play out every single play. As a pitcher, your role is to get out of the way, and it just didn't happen there. So I think that there was a play at second. I think that maybe her teammates weren't necessarily calling for, you know, any particular bag. I think that they became a little lackadaisical in that moment. And It definitely showed, and unfortunately it led to an injury of the pitcher, which is never a good thing. But I think that the catcher did exactly what she was supposed to do. She went after the ball. She did not let the umpire dictate what she was going to do. She didn't make any, she wasn't umpiring. She wasn't making any calls, which is what I preach daily. Mm-hmm. And she finished the play, and unfortunately it just, went south. I think that if it could have been done better, if everyone was communicating, if everyone was doing their job and not umpiring, I think everyone would have been in the correct position, and that would have been a totally different play with hopefully the outcome that they were looking for, which would have been an out.
Right. No, I right away was like, why didn't you get down? Like, as a pitcher, we are in the front line all the time.
Yeah.
That to me is like a box to check,
right.
Like I got to move every time. Or that's going to be my face. And it was just funny because so nowadays, I don't know how you feel about masks, and that's something I'm going to talk to you about too. We had a girl at Coconino High School here. Oh gosh, was it 7 years ago? I don't know. She was playing third. They thought it was a bunt. The girl ended up like smacking line drive right back to her. Broke face. She was down in Phoenix. They couldn't get her up here for 2 weeks because she had a bleed behind her eye, and the pressure coming up to this elevation would have killed her. And of course, everybody, runs out. And I'm sure if you bought stock in masks back then, it probably went up. But everybody was just like getting masks, even for outfielders. Like, I'm like, if your kid's a solid outfielder, like, I don't really think you need a mask. I think you're good. Yeah. But those corner kids and the pitcher, like nowadays, because the bat technology is like through the roof, and the athletes, their strength is through the roof nowadays. I think the bat's being hit harder off the ball, or the ball being hit harder off the bat. Sorry, I said that wrong. But it was funny when I went through social media and read some of the posts, especially Twitter. Like, I feel like everybody purges more of what they really think on Twitter. And I had so many parents on there on this video of that pitcher getting hit. Well, this is why I buy my daughter a mask, and da-da-da. And I'm like, whoa. Like, I have a pitcher right now who like just doesn't wear a mask, and I tease her all the time. I'm like, you're going to learn the hard way, aren't you? But I tell people what happened in that game was a freak accident. That was uncontrollable. A mask or no mask, like, it just, I don't know. And you've probably witnessed a lot with collegiate athletes that we hear, like with Flow softball articles, they talk about, oh gosh, there was one player back in March. Was she with Texas A&M? And then she transferred somewhere else, but she got hit in March and she was still recovering. And
might have been Oregon.
I think it was Oregon. Yeah, because Texas A&M was in there somewhere because the coach went somewhere or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But everybody just like kind of blew up like she should have worn a mask and da-da-da. But the dad even got on there and said, hey, she's still recovering.
Yeah.
And that to me as a coach is like, your bones are going to heal. And I get that. Like when I preach to my pitchers and if I work with any corner players, the importance of the mask, I'm like, yeah, your bones are going to heal. But I've witnessed, I had a pitcher in high school who took one to the face. And do you remember Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked like a Garbage Pail Kid card. Like her face, her eye was this like stretched out. Her nostril was clear over here. Her mouth was over here. Gnarliest thing I'd ever seen. And she was never right again as far as the game. Yeah. It emotionally and mentally breaks you harder than the bone. Yeah. So that's where I come from when I talk about wearing masks. But I definitely think that was a freak accident. Like you said, communication could have been better. But I appreciated it. I appreciated her not making the call and just following through, because you may agree with me here. If you hesitate, there are two things that come out of hesitation: error and injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember too, like I always tell my kids, if you're doing things correctly, you should never be hit with a ball that's in play. Yes, the technology of the bats are crazy. The exit velocity is getting higher, and I totally understand all of that. And with softball, it's obviously we're way more prone to it than baseball because we're so close. And I understand all of those things, but it also really comes down to mentality. If you're not afraid of the ball and you're out there and you're just like, you know, I don't care. This is what I'm out here to do, and I'm going to stop this ball. It really shouldn't be a problem, especially if you've learned to field the ball correctly. I mean, if you're here with your 5 fingers facing down and your head's right on that glove, it should be real easy to make this adjustment if a ball's coming at you.
Yeah, it's a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. So I do understand why people get them to begin with, and I'm not like saying no, don't by any means don't wear a mask, but at the same time, like if you're really mentally strong and you know exactly what you're doing out there, there really isn't a need for one, except for in the freak accident times. Like things like that are always going to happen. It's part of the game. But yeah, that's my take on it.
No, it really is. Personally speaking, as a pitcher, I think my height, bless me, I'm not very tall. I'm 5'3". I basically caught everything from like the thighs up, and it was just, there were days I would catch them so fast, I would turn to make the play, and they would be yelling at me, "It's in your glove!" And I would be like, "What? Oh, there's first, double play." Like that's how fast it was. A reaction to save my face. But there were other times where I just couldn't get down on it, and I would literally just get it with my legs. Yeah. And people would be like, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "Because I stopped it." Like it would went all the way to center field.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it plays hand in hand, just like with the rule that they had out there where like all of a sudden it became a thing to wear a face mask when you're back, you know? And I mean, that's great. Wear a face mask if you'd like, but that's exactly the same thing. You have just as big of a chance of taking one in the face from a pitcher than you do the pitcher taking one in the face from you.
Right.
So, you know, and I played with all girls that we never wore masks. And if I were to get out there and put a uniform on again, I would choose not to wear a mask because that's just my preference. So it's definitely a preference thing, but I mean, overall, like, yes, we don't want injuries in the game. So if that's going to make you feel more comfortable, great. But I have seen errors be made because of the mask as well. And, you know, I guess it's just really up to the player.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think there's a thin line right there. You know, we're both parents. We both have girls that my daughter's playing, your daughter's playing, they're young, you know, and that's something that they need to realize. Like when we're here at the house playing, Marley does not have her mask on.
Yeah.
You know, but when it's game time, it's like, you know, you're an outfield, you don't need it. Okay, if you're on a corner, go ahead and wear it if you feel comfortable. But if you don't, you're good, you know, because I don't want to teach her how to be scared. I don't ever want to use the phrase, it's going to keep you from getting your face broke.
Right.
You know?
And I'm like one of those people that when I teach, I'm like throwing balls at my kid, you know, like on purpose. Like, did that hurt? No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're good. See, like you're fine. And when I was teaching like my younger cousin how to catch, I would tie her hands behind her back with all of her gear on, and I would shoot balls out of a machine at her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what makes a kid tough. Like if you can take a ball, you know, like coming at you at that speed, it's going to hurt for maybe a minute and you're going to get over it. And that's just what makes those kids like that much tougher. If a ball hits their mask and, you know, and they're afraid after that, that's an issue. Then that's creating a whole other mental thing that you just don't want to get into, you know?
Too much garbage. No, at my JC that I played at, our shortstop, I remember her name's Tana. She made this double play one time, and I turned around and looked at her like, your teeth, like they were literally like hanging. She didn't even realize, and that's how good she was. And she plays on like the national slow pitch team, like, and she was named like the USA's National Player of the Year. Like, she is the real deal. And slow pitch, holy cow! I don't know about you, I can't even play slow pitch. You know, being on blood thinners, it's not the best thing. But man, those balls to me even come back even faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more scared getting on the bases as a runner. You know, after I hit the ball, I'm more scared being on first or third, getting a line drive, getting nailed.
Yeah.
You know,
fielding
the ball. So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. There's a thin line between teaching somebody how to respect the ball and then teaching somebody how to fear the ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you got to respect it. That ball's your friend. You got to have the ball. It's going to work with you. And in order to get it to work with you, you got to learn how to get it to you, how to
Correct.
take it in, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you said. So, well, good. Let's talk about, let's just hit a little bit on, since I'm a pitcher and you're a catcher, your relationships that you had, and it doesn't have to necessarily be at the collegiate level. It can be high school, travel ball, whatever best memories you have. But let's talk about those relationships that you had with pitchers or a pitcher. Like, how did that build your confidence as a catcher?
So one of my fondest memories, the earliest memories I have of catching, my sister decided she was going to pitch, and she's 2.5 years younger than me. We happened to be on the same like fall ball all-star team one time, and I just got stuck catching her because she was practicing every day, and it was like, oh, just go out there and do it. And I really like enjoyed it. I loved it because I was able to push her. I was a little bit stronger, like mentally. So I was like, come on, we got to get this done. Like, you're going to get better. If I'm out here doing this for you, you're going to get better. Mm-hmm. So that's my earliest memory of that. But I'm born in December. So I was always a early like riser for as far as going to the next level. So I hit majors for just like the rec league a year earlier than all my friends. And so I was 13 going up and playing with all high school girls. And I remember this girl, Heather Villarreal from Woodland, California. She's out there and she's throwing like 63 consistently.
Wow.
And she's good. I mean, she has movement on the ball. She's just got power. She fears nothing. And so I'm at a tryout and I'm catching her. And beforehand, I hear them all talking, all these high school girls talking about how I'm not going to be ready to catch a ball from them. And I'm not going to, I might not necessarily make a team. I ended up being that girl's best catcher. Like, she praised me. She was like, this girl's good. She can catch every ball. And it's just, once you build that trust with somebody, it's just like, there's nothing like it.
Right.
So one, that's why I really liked being in the bullpen, because I was able to build that trust with every pitcher that I had at ASU. Mm-hmm. But it's like a little bit different because at the collegiate level, you're working for like one team goal that is, there's nothing better than that goal. You know what I mean? So, one of my best friends still to this day, Megan Elliott, she came in, we both came in as freshmen. She threw real hard. She was hitting 70 at some points in her career.
Wow.
Just more flat, not really movement type pitching, but mm-hmm. We worked day in and day out, and we would even do extra sessions. And I mean, when she went through any struggle in a game, she would always just come right back to me. Even if I wasn't catching her that game, she would come right back and she's like, what do you see? What can I do better? What's your advice for me? And it's really just building that relationship with them. So those are like 3 huge moments for me throughout my career. Like, one, my sister, just being there and kind of being like a rock to make her better, mm-hmm. Forced into it, obviously, but I fell in love with it after that. 2, just kind of showing like how determined I was in that moment to be the very best, even though I was small and little and young. And then 3, like taking all of that experience and putting it into all of the pitchers at ASU. You know, if I were to go catch a game for the alumni games now, I'm diehard. I'm like 100%. I'm like, all right, I'm calling these pitches. Let's get these girls out. You know, like, nice. And it's just something that you can always go back to. Like, you can go back to your catcher. Probably you have some of them that you could call up right now and be like, hey, do you remember this? And it's just, you like leave off on like the last step where you were. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, there's a picture on my Facebook and my photos of me pitching, and it was actually a picture that made the front page when I was in college. And my catcher is like, you were totally throwing a curve drop. And I'm like, yep. Like, she knew just by that freeze frame of my release, she knew right then and there. And yeah. She and I, we actually played a year and a half of high school ball together, because I moved from Kansas to New Mexico, and when I was 16. And that girl was, you talk about a transition in life. Like, my parents divorced after almost 20 years of marriage, and I moved from, the Bible Belt of America clear out to the Southwest, and what you know, people consider where I was at in New Mexico, like the armpit of New Mexico or the world. And it wasn't. Like that softball team, that catcher, Brenda, like she picked me up big time, and she ended up, I was a year older than her, and she ended up going to Suco with me, Suco JUCO, and played a year with me. So she got to catch me in college too. And then she went on to San Angelo State University out in Texas. So she and I can just, like you said, pick up where we left off. And it's funny that you have that same memory with your sister, because my sister was like you. My sister is 2 years older than me, and I started pitching about 9 years old, and she became a catcher for me. And I learned a lot of work value from my sister, as far as, hey, if I'm going to put in this much work, you're going to put in this much work. Like she used to hold me accountable. Like, if you expect me to throw the ball back to you, you're going to throw the ball to me just as good or better.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that I incorporate when I work with my pitchers one-on-one, and I get the pleasure of having their catcher there as well. That is something, you know, if I see that my pitcher's sluggish, I'm like, do you see your catcher over there slacking off? No, she's given 100. Therefore, you have to give 100.
Yep.
Then they're like, oh, I got to snap out of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, just the accountability. And like, if I were to get a D1 coaching job today, I would for sure, first person I reach out to would be my pitcher. And I'd be like, you're coming with me. Like, you know, just cause it's like a mindset thing. Like you learn a lot from each other. Like, you know, I remember doing a pitching clinic one time. I'd never pitched at a high level, but I was able to teach myself how to pitch because I was a catcher. And a lot of my mannerisms mocked my pitcher because I'm just seeing her constantly do it. And I'm like, oh, that looks like something I could do, you know?
Totally.
So you learn a lot from each other.
Yeah. No, I tried to catch one time. I think I was like 10, and I looked at my coach and I was like, I'm good. I never wanted to do it again. But my mom, I know, my mom was a catcher. My mom was a beast back in those days, you know, playing with that mask that had like the wide set, and bats would get stuck right there. Yeah, my grandpa was an umpire and had to like pull off the field one time. The preacher's kid, it was hilarious. But and then my sister stepped right into my mom's shoes and became even a better catcher than my mom ever was. And my sister ended up just dominating softball where we grew up in Kansas, and she got a scholarship to Kally County Community College, played a semester there, and was like, I'm good. She walked away. She's like, I'm done. I'm ready to be done, you know? And I was like, wow. She's definitely one of those catchers that I will always, let alone the fact she's my sister, but I learned so much from her because she could, because she was my sister, hold me more accountable than anybody ever could.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's awesome. Well, I'm hoping tomorrow, I'm really hoping that we get at least 20 minutes with these pitchers and catchers together to just purge into them everything that we've taken away and allow them to Q&A us. And how can they, you know, like I want them to be so blunt to the fact where if a pitcher and a catcher are having a little fight, because I feel like today they have more opportunity to fight because of social media, you know, more opportunity to take things the wrong way because of texting.
Right.
You know, and I really want these girls to open up, like how do you handle it when maybe they like the same boy, you know, silly things like that, even though they shouldn't be dating because they should be all about softball.
Right.
No, but just, I really hope that we are able to, you and I tomorrow are able to establish that kind of communication with those girls, because I think it's important they know that they're going to be able to get through it. And it's not like, I always teach, once you cross the chalk lines, it's gone.
Yeah. If
you still got beef, you deal with it later. And if I see it as a coach on the field, there's the bench.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, I don't think you follow me on Twitter, but I posted something the other day. I posted something the other day about how you're going to fail so many times in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can fail 7 out of 10 times on a daily basis or a weekend basis, we're going to, like, baseball and softball players are the strongest people out there because you deal with failure all the time. So if you're able to fail 7 out of 10 times, on a regular basis, whether it's emotionally with your pitcher or emotionally with your coach, or I just had a really bad day at the plate, whatever it is, you're failing all the time. If you can bounce back from that, you're going to be the strongest individual around. Like, no joke. Like, you can deal with any life experience because you're building up a sense of you're just building up a rapport for yourself because you're so used to failing that you're just like, oh, that's it. I got this. I can bounce back from that.
Yeah. I mean, that, if you really want to take that to like a big picture level, I mean, you take somebody who's had a hard childhood, who grew up not having everything that they needed, yet they're still successful because they know what it's like to be given a little, you know, and still become successful. You know, I don't know if you follow David Goggins. He's an amazing guy. That man preaches why he works out. Like, he tells you how it is. But I love his story, you know, just brokenness. And he's still like, don't put me on a podium. Like, I am human. It's one of the toughest people I know.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about that. Yes, I do follow you on Twitter. I'm actually going to show you. You can't but I do. I've been so busy with social, like so Facebook, I have Kally V softball. That's where I do a lot of plugs for local athletes. If there's camps, clinics going on. And I also will pull stuff from Flow Softball on there, or something cool, you know, going on social media. I'll pour it into there and do some motivational stuff as well.
Yeah.
But, and then I'm also on Instagram too. So I wish you were on Instagram. I know you have an account. You just don't really.
No, I do. It's more like a personal account for me, but yeah, I'm on there.
Yeah. So for those of you that watch this, if you guys want to start following Brittney Matta, it's Brittney. Everybody wants to spell it Brittney, but it's not. It's Brittney, and it's Matta, Matta. You can follow her at capital C, capital A, _ BRIT. That's where she is at on Twitter. She is dumping volumes of knowledge, not only from the coaching aspect, but from the athlete aspect, from the teammate aspect, from the college athlete advisor aspect. That's actually where Brittney and I met. She's just, you guys, she's a good person to have in your tank, on your side, whatever you want to say. She's just roundabout person. She's got it all down. And I knew Brittney and I were going to connect right away because this might sound silly to some of you. You may not get it, but you'll probably get it, Brittney, because you're a catcher.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt the same way with me once you found out I was a pitcher. You're probably, I don't know, maybe you're like, oh, no.
No. I feel that same way. Like, you can instantly tell when you're going to click with somebody and when you're not. And I just, I feel like you're a good person to be around and you have a wealth of knowledge as well. And I feel like we're going to be building bridges together for a lot of young ladies out there for a long time to come. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, super excited. We're hoping that one day the next multi-million-dollar MLB who signs will just, I don't know, donate 70% to start some huge professional, on the level of, yep.
Right.
That's what we'd like to do. I mean, the good thing is collegiate athletes, female college softball players can now play college softball for 6 years. I think that's amazing. However, I also think that's the, we're going to stroke their ego and let them play 6 years of college ball and they're never going to go pro. This is as high as they're going to get. Come on.
Yeah. So it was so funny the other day, one of the guys on Twitter, he's like a AA player for the Braves in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And he posted this thing and I immediately retweeted it. And there's some girls out there on social media kind of, almost drawing a line between baseball and softball. Oh, why aren't you guys our fans? We work just as hard as you. And it's well, you shouldn't need the reassurance from anyone that our game is just as good as baseball, because if you're good and you're doing your job, you should know that. Mm-hmm. Second, this guy immediately retweets, his name's Trey Harris. He retweets this thing and he's like, listen, y'all, this game is so special. Like, these girls, the way that they're so close and they're playing that field and they're going in there and they're getting that ball and getting rid of it, that is some real stuff happening right there. Like, praise all you ladies out there doing it. That's what it should be like. Like, we need to join forces because they like our game just as much as we like theirs, if not more.
No, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but Avery Weems, he graduated from Coconino High School here in Flag. He signed with the White Sox in the 6th round. And he just had his first debut, minor league debut with the White Sox program yesterday, and they won. I mean, it was just lefty pitcher, and he is just as big as a fan as my game. And, you know, my husband and I both pour into him from a coaching aspect. And even though I coach softball and not baseball, he still listens to everything I say. And I think that's huge. He's got just as much respect for the softball game. You know, I think it's pretty big. So you'll have to go catch a game down there. You'll have to go watch him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's down there in your neck of the woods. All right, girl. Well, thank you for your kind words and your time. I appreciate you so much. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Take you to lunch. We're going to take her to our favorite little Mexican restaurant, La Fonda's. La Fonda's. We're so excited. But you're going to love it. It's our favorite place to go. And they're huge. They're mom and pop, hometown owned. So it'll be nice. But before I let you go here, I want to know, what is the one thing, if you, this is going to put you in a box, but what's the one thing, like, you would want people to know to help them overcome any adversity in their life? Like, something that helped you get through it, maybe something told you something, and that's always something that runs in your head. What could you share with these athletes today that are going to watch this, or anybody who comes across this?
I'm a big fan of self-discipline, just staying accountable for yourself first, because the only way to make your team better is to make yourself better. And we had the chance to work with a sports psychologist at ASU, and I had never worked with one before that. And it's huge because you can be mentally tough yourself and hold yourself accountable, but when somebody else is holding you accountable as well, it's almost like, well, why are they telling me what to do? You know, like, I don't like that. I don't want someone to tell me what to do. And it can become like a little bit of a battle with people on your team. So I'm huge on, and I'm my biggest critic. So I always use that to my benefit. Don't let it get to be something that's a downer. Use it as a benefit. Take that info. And what I like to do is I used to make like a little bag of like inspirational things, or just things that would help me do better. So if I was down, I would go over there and I would pull out like one of the little things that I would write out of my bag, and it was like, you're a freaking stud, or something like that, you know, like, or you're the great wall behind the plate because nothing's getting past you. Things like that are just like, you know what, like, that's true. Just remind yourself of who you are, keep yourself in check, and just be self-disciplined. That's like the best thing that you can ever do, is just work hard and have self-motivation.
Amen, sister. I'm going to second that. So tomorrow, pitchers and catchers, this is your opportunity at 9:30 to 11:30 at Fox Glen Park on the softball field. Myself and Coach Brittney are going to be out there pouring into the pitchers and catchers, and we're going to be teaching some ways that you can hold yourself accountable and employ that self-discipline, so you yourself as an athlete can work through adversity, but also when you're done with your sport, you can work through life just like the athlete you were on the field. All right.
Looking forward to it. See you guys tomorrow.
All right, girl. I'm going to go ahead and press stop recording on this, and then we can continue talking. All right. I'll talk to you in a minute. Bye.